So I think either of these decks are probably a reasonable choice here. But LvGe going to queue up the Paladin first, and Jinsoo going to swerve a little bit and queue up his own Warlock deck. Though this is a Cube Warlock and not a Reno Warlock like we saw from LvGe.
Although I also wouldn't write off the Harrison Jones that is sitting in LvGe's Warrior Control deck. It's something that a lot of players are afraid of, especially if you're playing legendary weapons. You're playing the Skull of the Amari, you're playing the Alanith, right? Like, there's so many good weapons. In addition, of course, if you're just playing Paladin, there's a bunch of weapons you can kill.
Of course.
So that was another thing that I think has made a lot of players really nervous, is relying on the weapons in a meta of very little weapon removal, and then suddenly running into a Harrison Jones that just completely blows you out.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's one of the strengths of Reno builds, is you have so much space that you pretty much always can run some form of weapon removal. And with that Warrior deck, you don't have a lot of card draw, so you need to find it somewhere, and that's definitely where the Harrison Jones comes in. But for this matchup, Jinsoo is going to be the player playing defensively. LvGe, obviously, with Dude Paladin, it's a very aggressive deck, looking to leverage the cards that put a bunch of recruits on the board with Quartermasters, with Light Fuse Stegodons to deal a lot of damage very quickly. And Jinsoo's removal for this Cube Warlock deck tends to line up very well against the Paladin.
Instantly coins out that Hellfire, so LvGe is going to reload with Call to Arms. Unfortunately, there are only 3 power on the field, so while it's a lot of health and Divine Shields, not a lot of actual damage.
This is one that essentially, if Jinsoo can just get past the early turns from LvGe, if he can land a powerful demon from hand, hit Carnivorous Cube, and generate 2 copies, it's really, really tough for the Paladin to get past, even with equality, because then you factor in N'Zoth and Blood Reaver Gul'dan, then you factor in just additional Void Lords and all of that generation.
Wow,
It's
what a
really
Divine
tough.
Favor. So LvGe played Lost in the Jungle, then Divine Favored for 4, and what a draw. Every single one of those cards is really impactful in this matchup. Really all killer, no filler there. Second Call to Arm comes in hand, as well as a Rallying Blade. So next turn, he can either Light Fuse Stegodon or go Mini-Bot plus Rallying Blade, and really, a lot of L's in that card, and take control of the board very quickly.
Yeah, he absolutely can. And Jinsoo getting down to a pretty low life total already. Really importantly, LvGe has one of his 2 copies of Equality in hand. He's not playing Spellbreaker, which is a very common tech in Dude Paladin if you expect to play up against a lot of Cube Warlock. Instead, he's got 2 copies of Equality, assuming that he can stay ahead on board early on and then use the Equalities to get through the big minions that Jinsoo can access very early on.
So he's going with the Rallying Blade plan. The other thing that I guess he wanted to hold on and just go aggressive for now, is he does have an Equality and a bunch of little guys on the board that if you wanted, you could kill the Void Caller and Lackey, summon whatever big demons come out, Equality, and clear them really quick. But you don't want to take all that. I get it. I get why you
Killing
attack
them means
face.
I can't hit face.
That's a good point.
Right? Like, just
But
go face, let Jinsoo do the trading, because you know that Jinsoo has to do the trading or he's going to lose the game. And then when there are big demons in the way or Void Lords or whatnot, then go ahead and use your Equalities and try to get back to the face. But this is that power turn that I was talking about. If you can get one of those very powerful demons out, Void Lord being the most effective in this matchup, and you're able to cube it. Now Jinsoo is at a stable life total, and there are 5 taunts, and 2 of them generate 6 more taunts total.
Wow. If I'm playing against an aggro deck, do I want 11 taunts on the field?
If I'm playing against Cube Warlock with Dude Paladin on ladder, this is the point where you concede. This is the point where you're thinking to yourself, is there a way I can win this? Yeah, probably, but it's really tough to get there, and sometimes it's just not worth it.
And you can't even kill this Void Caller, because if it happens to hit Mal'Ganis, like, oh no.
Well, kill the Void Lord first,
Yep.
So it generates 2 Void Walkers instead of 1. And unfortunately, those are full health Void Walkers. You see how just the issue with 1 Void Lord being cheated out early, Carnivorous Cube and Dark Pact is usually enough to shut down any aggro deck that can't go face very efficiently.
And we have a bunch of 3 hitters on the board now, so at least the new Void Walkers can be cleared off, leaving a pretty unimpressive board behind it. Unbeknownst to LvGe, though, here comes Mal'Ganis. Oh, Mal'Ganis, I guess, 2 turns away, so he's not going to come out now.
Play that Void Caller, run in the Void Caller on board, Mal'Ganis.
Ah, perfect.
There you
You're
go.
right.
And now you can Tal'Daram the Mal'Ganis, and now everything has +4/+4, and
Wow.
that's pretty good.
That is an incredible... I thought last turn was the power turn, Coral. What's this turn if that was the power turn? This looks like a power turn, too.
This is the more powerful turn.
The more powerful. They one-upped us.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
So what happens when you're double immune? Are you just not immune then at that point? Is it like a double negative?
Yeah,
it's redundant. It doesn't happen. You become extra vulnerable.
So Jinsoo just
You get
loses.
the curse blade damage. Yeah.
No, this, unfortunately, you're just super, super duper safe. Well, fortunately for Jinsoo, unfortunately for LvGe is, he now needs to deal 14 damage to Mal'Ganis's while he does not die. And then he still needs to deal 17 to face. And by that point, Blood Reaver Gul'dan's online, and yeah.
It's good for us viewers because we don't have to sit through another sweep. I want to see some Game 4s and Game 5s.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to be, it looks like Jinsoo is closing in on this tie. It's not totally locked up yet, but with a lot more card draw and a hand with both Blood Reaver Gul'dan and N'Zoth, the value is infinite on Jinsoo's side of the board.
That was about as locked up as games can get. Well, okay, so LvGe, with a full board of dudes, Jinsoo is going to play very defensively, and he's going to remove as many of them as he can because he knows that there is no way that he loses if the board is clear from LvGe.
Right.
But even still, LvGe has this Light Fuse Stegodon, which can pull Poisonous, which can clear up both Mal'Ganis, which then suddenly, you know, some mixture of Call to Arms plus Loatheb is able to stick a board, and LvGe is able to push quite a bit of damage at that point. So this isn't over yet. It's just really, really difficult.
That did seem like, though, what he was going for. I mean, rather the line of play that Jinsoo was aware of, because using Dark Bolt on a 1-1, attacking your 11-9 Mal'Ganis into a 1-1, those are all pretty weird plays, unless you're right, seeing that exact line, right? If the Poisonous comes out, I lose my whole board, and suddenly my opponent's back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, there is no reason for Jinsoo to try to end this game before it's essentially over. He wins by just removing everything that LvGe has, by getting to turn 10 and 11 when he's going to be playing the two most powerful cards in his deck. As long as he just doesn't die, he wins. But here, it looks like LvGe will be able to represent another threatening board state going into the next turn. Jinsoo is going to want to clear up as much of this as he possibly can, but unfortunately the trades don't line up very well. So he is going to, I believe, go for a Defile here. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the Void Caller can go over the Crystal Lion. And that Doomsayer is the perfect deterrent for next turn.
Gonna reload that board. Doomsayer clears out an empty board, and then Blood Reaver Gul'dan gets back into the mix.
Oh.
And that Blood Reaver Gul'dan will, of course, bring back 3 Mal'Ganises, I believe, because one was cubed.
There was a Void Lord and a lot of Void Walkers.
That's a good point, so we might not get that lucky.
Yeah, so there's no guarantee.
Come on, triple Mal'Ganis.
Yeah, one's good
yeah, maybe I think I've seen enough.
One is good enough. LvGe needed Jinsoo to not have N'Zoth or Blood Reaver Gul'dan there, and unfortunately for him, Jinsoo had both. So Jinsoo going to tie that one up. Both Warlocks now off of the table.